Everybody, and welcome to your Sobek support guide. It's going to be picking up our tier 2 boots, Chalice of Healing, Hand of the Gods, and a Blink. This is my standard start right now on supports. It is pretty funky, and it plays a little weird in the early game, but the reason why you do this is two-pronged. One, you get the reinforced greaves online earlier. You're basically always going to buy the reinforced shoes right now because of how strong they are. And two, you're going to want to go into Benevolence as your starter, but the Benevolence early XP that you lose actually screws up you hitting level 2. So I prefer to get the tier 2 boots, back up, get my greaves, and then actually get that Benevolence second. So on Sobek, we're going to be starting off with our Tail Whip as our first ability. The reason why we're going to grab this is actually purely for the additional CC, because we're going to be grabbing our Pluck at level 2. So if we can get a nice Pluck into a Tail Whip, we have a very, very high chance at getting an early kill. Although Siphoning Strike will be the ability that we actually max out first. So with this start, you do need to be careful. Your mana consumption is going to be only a couple of abilities worth. You do have some sustain with your Chalice though, in terms of HP to body block and facing for your Hunter. So right now I got the level 2. I've got the bonus movement speed, so I'm basically just looking right at RDO as my target. Gotta pluck him right on back. Unfortunately, he does hit level 2 just in time. So he's gonna be able to barely escape that one. But that's what you're always looking to do on Sobek. You're looking to get that quick early 2, and then go for a pluck. Doesn't matter if it's the support or the ADC, just whoever hasn't quite leveled yet. So right now I'm just gonna put some pressure on Ander. Just gonna try to make sure that I'm not getting hit too much. Play his auto attacks. See if I can't force out a dash on somebody again, so I can once again go for the pluck. There's the dash from RDO. Gonna try to follow up with the pluck. Not quite gonna be able to land it. That's fine. At this point, I'm only gonna stay for one more wave, because then I can back up and I can get my CDR boost. Now, Ander does not have his jump up, so I'm gonna call for an attack. I'm gonna blink in. I'm gonna hit him with a little blink pluck action. Now I'm gonna follow it up with that knockback, and then we can finish the kill with our Siphoning Strike. That's a huge reason right now why Blink is also being picked up as the first active in the dual lane. I'm going to grab a couple of wards to go ward deep for my Hunter, and then we'll get that Benevolence on our next back. Another big reason why you're seeing Blink picked up on supports is that Shell has recently been nerfed. So Shell used to give block stacks. Now it simply gives minus 50% damage taken from autos while the Shell is active. So basically, they removed the block stack because it was ruining so many different assassins in the jungle. But now, with that change, it doesn't really do enough for most people to pick it up. Sometimes you'll see like one picked up in a game, but you never see those games with like 3, 4 shells anymore. Gonna stand in front of my Hunter so he doesn't get auto attacked too much right here. I can afford to be very greedy because I've got my reinforced greaves. I'm gonna go ahead and pluck this Ander. I assume he's gonna jump into me. I'm going to preemptively use my 2. Preemptively using my 2 means that Ander isn't actually going to get his jump effect from his leap. He's actually going to get hit by that tail whip as he lands, and it's going to knock him back towards my Apollo. All basically leaps in the air get affected like that. So you can use your tail whip as a preemptive stopper. Great example, Odin. Odin comes in for the bird bomb on you. If you use your tail whip, it screws up his entire bird bomb combo. The leap doesn't do damage. It'll do damage to the shield. It'll go ahead and take part of that off so he doesn't get the bonus damage on it. It is crazy effective at being used right before they're gonna hit the floor. Screws up the entire ability. I'm gonna get some real deep boards out here in mid. And then I'm just gonna be walking out Persephone. I don't want to pluck her until after she uses her jump. Smart. If she's smart, she probably won't use her jump at all. But if he does try to jump, then I'm going to be able to immediately follow up with my pluck, which is going to let us get a kill. As Sobek in general, you are typically waiting for the enemy to use their movement ability first before you pluck. So I've still got my blink up, so I can actually go for the blink pluck on this if I need to, and I'm going to. Launch him right back over to my Athena, and we're going to be able to grab that kill as well. So Sobek right now, widely considered one of the best supports in the game. You can see why. He has crazy good aggression, and he works well with the support items right now. Sobek usually tossed around in the top 3 supports. Those supports usually being Ymir, Sobek, and Umoja. Ymir, Sobek, Umoja, and Athena. Those 4 are all kind of right there, tied at the top, with Athena being the actual number 1 that you usually see banned even in ranked. Typically, the Ymir, Sobek, Umoja are not going to get banned in ranked, but Athena will because she's just a slight tier above the rest, but they're all extremely strong. So for our leveling order on Sobek, we're going to be maxing out our ultimate whenever we can. Ultimate's going to give us that increased damage and the increased slow. So we're going to get damage and CC value out of it. Then we're going to max out our siphoning strike because it's going to give us damage and heal. So we're going to get this the same. Finally, leveling up our tail whip and then our charge prey. We level up the tail whip first because we're going to be using it more often for damage. Sometimes we use our pluck for a getaway skill, and also the tail whip is AoE. So for that level order on Sobek, nice and easy for you. 4, 3, 2, 1. With the notable caveat that we grabbed our tail whip at level 1, our pluck at level 2, and then our siphoning strike at level 3. So,
be right back.
A little bit different on the level order there for Sobek at the very start. As far as our build goes, gonna be pretty standard. We grabbed that reinforced creeps early. Now we've got the benevolence. That benevolence, of course, is going to turn into a compassion at level 17.
Enemy missing left.
And we'll be getting Thebes as our next item. Thebes is going to give you so much defensive value. You get so much protection from both of them. And I'm also a huge fan of Pridvin. And the Pridvin Thebes combo is so strong because Thebes gives you all the protections. Then Pridvin's going to give you a shield based off of those protections, of which you just got a ton of. And you're going to get the most bang for your buck. Because Lord knows you're going to need those defenses, and oftentimes support builds are also going to need a spectral armor in them as well. Because spectral armor is the only thing that even has a partial chance to keep you alive against hunters. Should be known that spectral armor is not the end-all be-all counter to crit. In fact, it really doesn't counter crit at all. It basically just counters the Deathbringer that they're gonna buy to get even bigger, beefier crits.
Freedom!
So it's pretty much mandatory, but it's not as strong as a lot of people thinks it is. We're gonna grab a sentry ward so we can get out some better vision over here in the mid lane while we continue to work on our Gauntlet of Thebes.
Attack middle lane. On my way.
So for our matchups on Sobek, Sobek doesn't really have a bad matchup. There's nobody that he like hates to go against. Because he is so safe, he has the CC immunity. He's got the ability to pluck people out of control. Sobek is never, ever, ever going to be a bad pick. He's got built-in sustain, he's got CC. He's got the great ability to tank, and he even provides pretty decent damage for his team as well. I'm going to pluck this RDO away from my Apollo. It's not really going to matter, though, because there's going to be a big, thick Persephone that comes through. So right now, I'm just trying to peel away for my Thoth. I know Arachne doesn't have its ult up, so I'm going to use my slow right there on my ult in order to peel. And then we're going to be able to finish up a quick kill onto that Anhur. Gonna keep positioning self, make sure that my passive is procced right now for those bonus defenses. And now that I'm at about 30% health, this is where I need to start being a little bit more careful. So anytime is a good time to pick Sobek. You never need to worry about having a certain comp or being against a certain comp. Some areas where he thrives, though, he has built an anti-healing, so Sobek tends to do well against healers, whether that be Hell, Afro, Chang'e, whatever, because his Siphoning Strike has that 50% anti-heal for 4 seconds. So if you're going against a team that has a lot of healing, the Siphoning Strike is going to be a fantastic counter. If you're going against gods that do not have any escapes, the Artemises, AMCs of the world, gods with no escapes really struggle against Sobek because the pluck goes from being a really good ability to like the best ability in the game. So you just got to be aware of that as well. And it doesn't even matter really if they're squishy. It's just anybody with no getaway skills. A fun little matchup is Sobek and Ymir. Ymir can kind of be a counter, but Ymir can also kind of get countered by Sobek. Sobek can pluck him, put him out of position, but also a really good Ymir can wall off your plucks. So be aware there, that ends up being a very, very high skilled matchup. Gonna back up, get my Gauntlet of Thieves and another Sentry Ward, and then we'll start going immediately into our Pridven for the increased CDR and that shield, which is gonna stack so well. So in general, Sobek, you can pick him all the time, but especially be looking to pick him into healers and gods that do not have escapes.
Enemy missing left. Be careful.
Sobek is a big setup god. So if you're looking for characters that you want to pair with him, Thoth is a great example. Sobek has great peel, so I can help keep Thoth alive, but I also have great setup, so I can just pluck gods into bad spots. So they are at Thoth's whim. Not gonna be able to secure our own red right there. Now I need to be a little careful because these little Arachne minions can actually body block my pluck and screw me up a little bit. I'm gonna go towards this Persephone, not quite gonna be able to reach him with that pluck, but we're gonna get some nice damage on Persephone, also force her dash. I don't mind taking the tower for my team, so I'm gonna run right into this tower. Athena comes down on top of me, and hopefully I've got enough leeway to kind of get myself out of this one. Not gonna be enough, because they're gonna have the Anhur ult with the Persephone ult, with the RDO, with the stuns. So this should end up being a decent fight for us though, because they poured a lot into us as the support. So those guys that have those big damage follow-ups tend to work really well with the Sobek because he has so much set up. So in the laning phase, the notable god is probably going to be Anhur. The Anhur Sobek lane, you get plucked by Sobek, and then you get impaled by Anhur right into a wall, and then they get body blocked by the pillar. It's a whole set of nonsense. To be fair, Anhur is good with everybody right now because he is the best ADC in the game, but still, it is the classic combo that you are looking for. As far as mid laners, any of those big damage follow-ups, the Scyllas, the Cuckoos, the Thoths of the world, any of those will go ahead and work. As for our strategies on Sobek, we're basically always looking to pressure people with our pluck. Even if we're not going to pluck, just standing in between them like you're going to can zone people out of XP, can put them into a less than optimal position. So we always want to be looking like we're going to pluck somebody even if we're not intending to. You want to put that fear of the pluck into their hearts. If you're not confident landing,
Be right back.
if you're not confident landing the pluck by itself, you've got two options. One, you can blink right next to them and then go for the pluck. It's a lot easier to land it that way. Or you can make sure that you're getting in close enough range and then use that tail whip to knock out the target, thus giving you a much easier target to hit. Now, Anher has used his beads and he has used his ultimate, meaning he has nothing left to do but jump away, but we're gonna keep him CC chained so he can't do that. I'm gonna call the attack the Gold Fury at this point. Like, we can just walk right back over to the gold and get it started up. Our Apollo's at 1 HP and our team kind of abandoned us. What we should have done right there is we should have just immediately started doing that Gold Fury, because they had no idea that we were over here, and there was no way that Apollo was going to be able to continue that fight with the HP that he was at. Gotta back up, finish up our Pridven, and then we're gonna get our second active, which is going to be a Sunder. Sunder and Blink right now, the standard support actives, very aggressive, which is why very aggressive supports are kind of in the meta right now. But that Sunder is gonna provide us with two major things. One, it completely counters shields, whether that's a Nike ult, whether that's shells, whatever, it doesn't matter. Pridven procs, it's gonna counter those shields by deleting it out of the game if we use it on a target that has a shield, which is very helpful. And two, and arguably most importantly, it is gonna help us against those tanky solo laners. Solo laners right now can get really tanky, really fast, and the only people that can really deal with it is the late game hunter, but you often have to wait until like the 20-25 minute marker in order for the hunters to be able to deal with them.
Enemy missing middle.
So you're seeing 1 to 2 Sunder. Sometimes the solo laner also gets Sunder because of how strong it is into these particularly hybrid warrior builds that have the Stone of Gaia, that have the Gladiator shield, Shifter shields, and Chile's Void shields, etc. Those types of items. So at this point in the game, as a support, you're just roaming around the map. You can go from duo to mid to solo. Doesn't matter really what lane you go to. You're just looking to be aggressive, find people that are out of position. But make sure that you're still getting XP.
Enemies in left lane. Be right back.
If you're not stopping for the waves and getting the XP, and if you just keep yourself in the jungle, you're going to miss out on a lot of farm, and that's going to put you behind. And you do not want to be behind on support. Support right now is by far the hardest role, and you can have a very large impact on the game, but you have to make sure you're keeping up in that XP. So I see Anher over in the left lane is pushed up really far. Looks like he's diving, but at this point now it doesn't matter because the Apollo has lost the 1v1 so hard. So I'm just gonna go right back over to the mid lane, see if I can go help out my Wukong, maybe take down this mid lane tower. Arachne might try to go aggressive on me. I'm just gonna go ahead and pluck him, hit him with that Sunder follow-up, force him to use his ultimate right there. I'm gonna walk out Persephone, see if I can't force her to use her jump. I'm going to. So we're forcing a lot of people right now to use their abilities. Now I'm gonna go ahead and peel it back and get the Arthur off of my team. So as a support, you have two main jobs. initiation and peel. Those are both kind of your jobs. So right there, I start off the fight by initiating onto Arachne, plucking him out of position, then following up by zoning out the Persephone,
Fury.
finally peeling back and trying to help out my backline, get some of the Arthur off of them.
On my way.
So you don't want to always be doing one or the other. You don't want to only initiate, you don't want to only peel, you want to do both. Typically starting off the fight, trying to get somebody out of position, and then transitioning into keeping your backline alive.
Ward here.
Now you're going to want to get your Sundering Spear upgraded as soon as possible. The enhanced version is what gives you that increased
Enemies
damage
at the fire
taken by
giant.
20% on the target that you hit, and that's really what is going to mess up the solo laners. So make sure you rank that up quick. The Blink, we don't really care to upgrade almost ever because it barely
Ward
helps
here.
us with the upgrade on that 10% mitigation. Okay. Now this is gonna be the most important note
Trust for the light.
about Sobek. So I need all of the Sobek players to listen in. You don't always
Enemy has been slain.
want to pluck every target all the time.
Attack the gold fury.
Plucking is not necessarily the right play. In the early stages of the game, you can basically pluck anybody and it doesn't really matter. Because your team will follow up because everybody is squishy and then they will die. As you get into the late stages of the game, you are going to want to be plucking the assassins, the hunters, the mages. You do not necessarily want to be plucking those solo laners. So if I have the Arthur, if we're about to start a team fight, right? We're going for their tier 2 tower. And I see, ooh, there's an Arthur out of position. I'm gonna pluck him into my team. And then I pluck the Arthur right next to my Thoth. And then the Thoth gets Arthur ultied into the air.
Ultimate is down.
And then my Thoth dies.
Ultimate is ready.
You do not necessarily want to do that. So as you transition into the late stages of the game, please make sure that the target that you are plucking is a target that is killable for your team. As a general rule, that just means you can keep plucking the mages and the assassins and the hunters, but not necessarily the guardians and the warriors. Don't pluck death to your team. It's not a good idea. Especially because you're going to get in the zone, right? Early game, you're plucking everybody. Mid game, you're mostly plucking everybody. Late game, you've been plucking people all game. You see somebody, you're like, I'm going to pluck them. And then you realize you plucked the 487,000 HP, 900 million protections Arthur into your team with a blue stone that does half of their health with all of his abilities, just baseline. Don't do that. Gonna try to get towards this Anner over here. Looks like my Apollo got a little ahead of himself. I actually don't know if I can kill this Anner. Gonna try to dodge his autos as best as I can. If I can get this fully channeled ult on him, he will go down. Luckily, I do end up getting in range of that. Now, they could be over on the Fire Giant. I'm gonna call a defend Fire Giant just so we can start getting people walking over there. Looks like Persephone's mid, 2 is right, so they're not going to be on the fire, but we do have to be careful about the fact that they have an Arachne, because they could do the Fire Giant. So I'm going to walk over
We need wards.
and get a nice Sentry Ward. For the Fire Giant as well. Oh my goodness. I actually got to be a little bit careful here because I do not have my ultimate up, which is really a big part of my escape. So I need to be a little bit careful. Make sure you get out deep wards around the fire as well. That ward location where I put it down, probably the most common deep ward location. There's the exact same ward on the other side of the map. Really helps you give that extra couple seconds of vision before the whole enemy team shows up. So we gotta be careful right now. We do have our Thoth dead. He's a major source of our damage. I'm actually gonna go to try the Sunder the Persephone, and I'm not gonna be able to hit her with that, and now we need to be very careful. Arachne's in the back trying to go for me. I can't really use my pluck aggressively right now. If anything, I need to save it in order to peel people off of my team. And I need to back up and grab myself another sentry ward. Back it up, grab myself a sentry, and I'm gonna get myself a relic dagger. Relic dagger gonna give me another 10% CDR, so now we've got 30%. We'll have 40% with red pot. And it's gonna give me that extra CDR on our Blink Thunder, so we can go and try to make more plays happen more often. Now at this point, RDO is very low, so I actually don't mind plucking her into the tower, because you see, we're gonna be able to kill her very quickly. Now I'm gonna keep my eyes on this Arachne, because he's tanking the tower, and I know that his beads are down. I'm not quite gonna be able to kill him. I am gonna knock back the Anhur into the tower range though. Now Persephone's here. I'm gonna try to body block it so she can't get the last hit on this tower. She is barely gonna get the last hit. And I'm gonna keep this aggression up though, just in case my Thoth can get back here. Persephone uses her ultimate and it is barely gonna reach me. So I'm not gonna be able to keep up that aggression probably on the team. And I do not want to be plucking this Arthur towards my Thoth, because he is liable to die with that. So we're simply just gonna have to go ahead and back it up once again. Now I need about 500 gold in order to finish my benevolence and turn it into my compassion. Compassion is a very good support item. The reason why we get benevolence over the Sentinel's Gift is one, this is actually going to give us more gold and XP. You can see I've got a 3-level lead over the RDO. A solid probably 2 levels of that is just like benevolence channeling of XP. So right now, if he didn't have this, he would actually probably be down another 2 levels, and it would probably actually be like level 19 to 14. But because we both have benevolence, we are both getting that equal amount of XP. You really will notice as a support player how much XP you are down when you don't get it. I'm gonna use my Sunder right there in RDO, so she goes down extremely fast, but now we do need to be careful because the Arthur's walking in on us and I have not had an opportunity to back yet. So I'm gonna back up, get that compassion, which is gonna help my team live a ton. The second reason why we get compassion is at the very end of the game, being able to soak up 15% of your allies' damage is crazy efficient. That's gonna keep your squishies alive, unlike anything else. Percent damage reduction is wild. So right now my main target is probably gonna be that Persephone. Slash in general, just trying to keep my team alive. Don't really want to pluck anybody back towards my Thoth, because anybody that I pluck back towards him, it'll probably just get him killed. Speaking of getting killed, I am going to try to give my Thoth vision though on the Anhur. I was hoping he was going to be able to pick up that kill. It looked like we actually might be able to pick up this kill. That's his beads. He has already used the jump. I got to wait for the shell to run out. Hopefully it's right in time for me, and it will be. And now I'm looking towards Persephone. She's got to jump. I'm going to follow up with the pluck, unfortunately. Not going to land the pluck right there. Otherwise, she would have been dead for sure. Thoth is actually dashing in on Persephone, so I'm just going to try to keep my team away from him. Gonna have to use right there my siphoning strike for a little bit of sustain. Probably gonna die here. I don't imagine I'm gonna find my way out of this one, but I do have another siphoning strike coming up soon, and a good Athena ult will actually keep me alive, and I'm gonna call for defend left lane, which hopefully our Wukong will be able to do. Now I'm gonna grab myself a sentry ward, finally rank up that blink to get some of those bonus mitigations when I do go for the blink flux here in the late game, and I need to get my sentry ward quickly out by the fire. So now we need to move ourselves all over to the fire giant so we can get those fire giant fights going again. Persephone is dead for 10, so if we can find a quick pick, that would be huge. Here's an Arachne. She is like the perfect target. I'm gonna pluck him back towards my Wukong. See if we can't grab a quick kill. That is Arachne's bead. See if I can't force the ultimate as well by chasing him around. There is the ultimate down. And now I'm gonna peel back into the backline. Make sure the Arthur is off of my Thoth. Arachne is definitely out of this fight. Ardio is in a bad position, but I can't make her my main target. I gotta make my main target and her. Waiting for that Ardio cripple to run out before I can actually put myself into the fight. As long as Arthur is using his ultimate on me, that means he's not using it on somebody else, and that is a win for our team. Oh, looks like the Arachne is gonna be able to dive the backline though, and we're just not quite gonna have the damage. So our biggest issue right now is honestly we just don't have enough damage, so we're probably just missing too many abilities right now.
Ultimate is ready.
When the Anhur got plucked, he barely took any damage, and he got plucked, followed up into the tail whip, and he didn't use any actives, which means that should have been a dead Anhur immediately. The second you have a squishy get plucked, that should be the quick dead on them with the follow-up from your hunters and your mages. So now we're going to Phoenix defense. They did get the enhanced fire. The enhanced fire is very strong. I think our Apollo just YOLO ultied into their entire team. Don't do that. That is not the play. Don't YOLO ulti into the backline by yourself. Against a team with the enhanced fire giant when they're about to be shoving down Phoenixes. Because now we're going to have to potentially defend a Phoenix without our hunter. But luckily,
I'll attack right lane.
they're not actually going to go for the Phoenix quite yet.
Dangerous might come our way.
So it looks like our Thoth is probably going to be our major damage dealer. Our hunter has died 9 times. So I need to focus my gameplay around the damage character who is playing the best. So I am going to basically become a peel bot for the Thoth, just trying to keep him alive above everybody else. So my goal is going to be to basically stick by Thoth, get target set up for Thoth, and if he dies, we're probably in a lot of trouble.
Enemy missing left.
Be careful, right.
Useful for the battle ahead.
They're going to be shoving down into us pretty soon, so I'm also going to get myself a red pot just to have that extra 10% CDR for my abilities.
Enemies at the Gold Fury.
Get a deep
We
ward
need
out over
wards.
here
Retreat.
outside of the gate, and quickly back up, grab another
Retreat.
sentry ward so I can have another ward for inside the gate on whichever side they decide to shove.
Wise item choice.
At this point, all the pressure is on them to shove. So we're sitting back. And the more they want to waste, they are enhanced a fire giant, the better it is for us. So we don't
Enemy
mind
spotted.
just going ahead and chilling back. Now, Thoth wants his red buff. This is actually a little risky right now. So I'm going to move over with him, so I can peel for him if I absolutely need to. Looks like they're all over on that right side. So now we back it
Your
up.
right tower has been destroyed.
I've got a sentry ward for inside on our right hand. It looks like Toad is actually going to do it for us.
Not even close.
So now I need to make sure
Under attack.
that Ander isn't just getting free autos onto the Phoenix while keeping my eyes particularly on our Thoth. Gonna try to get a little deep ward right here just so our Thoth can have better access and vision for the poke. He's got a very long range, so I'm gonna let him use it. Plucking the around. I was gonna go pluck the Arachne, but I'm actually inside of a RDO cripple. Using my ultimate to zone out as much as I can. Just keeping an eye on Thoth in the back line. I know there is an Arachne back here. Unfortunately, the rest of the team dies.
Your right Phoenix is under attack.
And so it doesn't look like we're probably going to be able to come out on top of this one. We did, in fact, keep our Thoth alive, though. I can't go for plucking anybody aggressively right now because they've still got all 5. Their fire giant actually ran out at an extremely convenient time for us. Not to mention, it looks like their Arthur DC at a very convenient time for us. So convenient all around. Now I can go looking at this Persephone. Her dash is down. Anher is here as well. I don't mind getting the damage on the both of these guys. I'm going to pluck the Anher. He's going to come right on back to Thoth, who should be able to pick up the kill. Now he can continue to dive down the mid lane and do a little reverse push action. I'm going to go for the blink pluck right here. We are going to land that on top of her. And I'm going to call to go for the fire giant. It should be spawning very soon. And now we've got 2 massive death timers. Looks like Arthur is still over here. We're going to get a big turnaround play potential. I'm just going to go ahead and start up that fire gun immediately. We've got a Thoth for secure. We've got a Wukong zoning. So I'm going to sit here by the edge of the pit. Pluck Arthur right on out of this pit. We should be able to grab ourselves yet another kill. Going to hit him with that Sunder for that bonus damage from the Athena. Looks like Ardio was still over here as well. If anybody, I mean, if they stay, we can still go for little plucks here and there. Titan is under attack, so somebody needs to probably back up and defend the Titan. Although it is only one wave.
Defend the Titan.
At this point, Wukong should back and just start defending our Titan. It doesn't look like he's going to, though, so I'm actually going to have to be the one that goes and backs to the Titan. Unfortunately, I got put in combat again. It looks like Apollo actually ended up backing, which is nice. In general, you don't want your hunter to be the one that backed because we need him for the towers and stuff. You would prefer to have your solo laner be the one that is backing.
Attack the Gold Fury.
We need to go do the Gold Fury. It is the Oni creeps.
To the rescue.
Our Wukong way too far out of position. Playing too far forward without the hunter. Can't be going for those towers without the hunter. This is why you do not want the hunter to be the one to go ahead and back up. This is actually going to give them a power play, and if I was them, I'd be going for the Gold Fury, which is where the team should have been going the entire time. So now they're going to be trying to get Oni creeps. We got to be very careful. We don't have anybody really set up here for this fight, so the best I can do is go for a little steal. But this is the place that the entire team should have been positioned anyway. Now I've got to go on my ulti, and I am going to try to turn this one around because I do have a Athena ult on me. Persephone ult down, all sorts of ultis down. Unfortunately, I've got nobody to help me out with this cage because everybody is getting dove in the back line. And now it looks like they're probably going to be able to go for the reverse end again. So right here, pretty common series of misplays that you'll see from players. One, our solo laner gets way too confident at the end of the game, runs up into the entire team by himself, and gets himself killed. Secondarily, our Apollo backs when our Apollo should not be the one backing. If you're the hunter, you can't be the one backing to defend because you have to be the one that sticks around for objectives. So we needed the Wukong to actually be the one to back up. Instead of diving into the whole team by himself, we needed the Apollo to stay with us, and instead of backing to the base, so that way we could have continued to shove the towers and get the Gold Fury and all of the objectives with our Hunter, who we need in order to do those objectives, guys. So those are just some common misplays that you're going to see at all levels of gameplay. And what we needed to do there was to fix those couple of issues. Then we have grouped up as 5 people. We have the Enhanced Fire Giant, and we get to run it right down the left-hand side tower with the Enhanced Fire Giant, guys. And that is our Sobek support. Thank you for supporting the Twitchiest community. If you'd like to see more videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel and always hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Thank you for all your support and have a Twitchin' day, y'all.